couple more hours, but it's been awesome. It's very refreshing to come home and see two people who really don't care about nothing else but eating and pooping and sleeping, man. So obviously it's an unbelievable feeling, but it's going well at the house, man. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. How's your first camp as a defensive coordinator?
It's going well, man. For the most part, guys, they're trying to do all the right things, right? I think Coach mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. We got 45 new guys on our roster, and so just trying to get those guys, continue to get them acclimated to how we do things and the pace at which we do them, right? Trying to do the best we can to prepare them for a game-like setting in this conference. A lot of guys have played football, whether at the high school level or other schools, but it's just different. It's just different when you're in this conference. It's different when you're lining up against really good football teams and trying to make practice as hard as we can for them. Because we can control the setting in practice. We can't control it on game day, but for the most part, it's been good.
For the guys that have returned from last year or more, is there something you've tried to instill in this camp to them?
Yeah, man. I mean, the phrase I like to use is you got to have a buffet mentality, right? Like you can never stop eating. You got to always be hungry, right? And human nature is when you've had success, right? It's to kind of take a back seat and chill because you've done something for 1 year and you may not be as hungry. And I'm wired the complete opposite way, man. And so we got some motivated guys. I'm pushing them every single day. Our staff is pushing them, just trying to challenge them in different settings. Because again, right, when we line up versus Toledo, they don't care, right? They don't care what conference this is, right? They got really good players on their roster, i.e. the quarterback, right? They got some really good players. And so I just want to make sure we're prepared for that. And I think we're doing a really good job so far as a coaching staff.
You had the first scrimmage on Friday. Watching the film from that, what jumped out at you? Were you pleased overall with it?
Overall, I was pleased, right? It's some things we obviously got to clean up. We had a bunch of new guys and a bunch of different newer roles. I would say for the most part, the guys who were here last year, I thought they did pretty well. I thought they were pretty clean, but we just had some younger guys, right? Don't really understand the significance of situational football, and gave up a couple explosives, right, because of situational football, and was able to teach from those moments. But I was pleased the way the guys hunted, the way they flew around. I think, from just a defensive perspective, right, you're always trying to dictate what the offense does and not vice versa, right? You always want to keep them on edge. And so I thought for the most part they tried to do that, and they tried to be physical. They tried to solve all their problems with aggression. That's primarily what I wanted to see, right? Johnny and Keith was Johnny and Keith, right? We know how good they are, but my question wasn't in regards to them. My question was in regards to some of the other guys on the field, And so I thought for the most part, I was really happy we came out pretty healthy, and I thought it was a great film to teach off of.
The situation with Matthew Bailey, does it have a kind of a ripple effect as far as guys having to learn multiple positions, or were you already doing that kind of cross-training?
I mean, we were doing that a little bit last year, right? And then obviously bringing some new guys in out of the portal, and we had spring ball obviously, and then we brought some more guys in after spring ball, and was kind of unsure of Bailey's situation, right? And as this thing kind of gets a little closer, was unsure initially, but kind of knew maybe a couple weeks ago that maybe not we'll gain them at least for the first game. And so just trying to prepare guys and put other guys in position to go out there and do what Matt typically does, And so that just meant just putting them in a pressure cooker, man, putting them out there during scrimmage settings and see can they handle the fire. And for the most part, man, I do think that the three guys we brought in, and Nicario Harper, right, Clayton Bush, and Demetrius Hill, man, I thought they've done a tremendous job in trying to get prepared for Toledo, and scrimmage wise, and they've been flying around, they've been physical, Obviously Matt Bailey had a lot of success last year as a true freshman, and it's hard to replicate the production he's had. Obviously losing the guys we lost in the secondary, but I think what helps us is those dudes up front in our linebacking core. We got some dudes up front in that linebacker I think can make up for some of that production, and at the end of the day, man, no matter how much we practice, right, it's how are they going to respond when they're in the game. As much as we practice, as hard as we practice, How are they going to respond, right, when the live bullets are flying and it's really go time? And so I'm trying to put as much pressure on them as I can. I'm trying to make it really, really hard for them, all of them overall, the whole secondary, right, just to see how they respond. Do they rise or do they crumble, right? And I can kind of control that at practice a little bit, but I can't control that on game day. And so just trying to get these dudes ready.
Demetrius played both positions at FIU. Is that versatility paying off now?
Oh, 100%, man, because I think he has a very unique skill set for a guy that size. He's a tremendous cover guy, like tremendous, like really good, you know. And he showed that he'll put his face on people. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that was my biggest question, like, will you put your face on people? I know he had a lot of tackles, but tackling and putting your face on people do two different things, you know. And this conference just requires a little bit different from you, right? You know, you're going to play against some really elite tight ends, right? You know, you're going to play against some really elite O-lines. You know, people are going to try to run the ball right at you. And Coach always says that they're going to find the weak link, right? And I think what we're trying to do as a staff is trying to find the weak link, right? Trying to find the weak one in practice, right? Who's going to give us the best chance to win the game, right? Who are the first 11? And then after those 11, who are the premier backups that can come in and help us? And so all three of those guys have been doing a tremendous job, and it's a really good battle right now.
Aaron, what gives you confidence in Matt Bailey kind of being a plug-and-play guy when he can get back healthy? It seems like he missed spring, he's going to miss fall camp, but you feel pretty confident you can just plug him in and have him be ready to go.
Yeah, Matt Bailey knows the playbook better than I do. You know, he is that smart. I was talking to him yesterday. I'm like, dude, nothing else works out, bro. You're going to be a coach. Like, that dude literally all summer, all the new guys, corner, safeties, all the DBs, he was literally teaching them the defense. Anytime you got a guy like that, a player-led guy like that, right? Like player-led team, player-led unit, who can teach the whole back end from corner to nickel to safety and how we do things, proper alignments, where your eyes should be. I mean, from every position, right? He did that all summer, right? And so whenever he's ready to come back, obviously we're going to embrace him with open arms. But right, he's dealing with something right now it happens to a lot of players, right? A lot of players suffer from a lot of really good players suffer from injuries, and I just been challenging him like this is a mental part of his life right now to where he's going to have to overcome. You know, it's really, really, really challenging for him mentally because he wants to be out there, and I just been challenging him every single day, right? Like, just stay the course and take it a day at a time. And I think we'll have a really good idea when he's ready and when he comes back, and I'll be really, really excited about that.
You know, Miles Scott moved to your room this spring. Seems like he's kind of getting a lot of praise for his adjustment. What have you seen from him, and what's he doing to kind of find his way there?
Yeah, man. I mean, Miles has done a tremendous job. You know, he's always in the right position, man. You know, like he never tries to do more than what he's called to do. He just does his job routinely. You know, I also think with his offensive skill set, right? Like having tremendous ball skills. Like, I mean, you have tremendous ball skills, man. You got a chance to be an all-conference player in this league, you know, because teams are going to throw you a couple, right? Can you catch them? Can you look at him? Do you have the ability to weave and get to the house? And so he's been doing a really good job for us, man. I'm excited about him. You know, I think his skill set is very unique because he's never played back there, but he has played receiver, right? And I always tell him, man, when the ball's in the air, you're a receiver. Like go and get it. And so it's still some fine-tuning things we got to clean up just because from a defense perspective, it's just a tad bit different, right? And just understanding situationally, understanding formations and what teams are trying to do to you, reading the quarterback, right? It's just a different standpoint. And so I'm trying to do the best I can and make sure when week one does show up, he's ready.
What did you like about him in the first place to kind of make this move, to give that offer to him?
To be completely honest with you, we had been lobbying for this it was a year overdue, to be honest with you. You know, just because he moved around really well. He was a good-looking kid. You know, he was physical. He was really, really physical. You know, and I know he had never played defense, but as a defensive coach, you just see things. It's like, man, this dude could easily make the transition, right? You see things, right, from an offensive standpoint. They got a couple of receivers who are really good on that side. Who you see him and like, oh, this dude be a really good DB, right? Like he has it, right? And not all receivers are like that. And so we saw him move around, saw him obviously in the weight room, right? Saw him change direction. And so for just from a movement standpoint, like that was pretty easy. Now it was like his level and his IQ of learning the game. But we were in spring practice. We had moved him to DB. He started off at corner, and he had two. I think he had an interception that was like so freaky, man. Like he spun around and like got leg whipped and caught a pick and took it to the house. And I'm like, okay, this dude's really good, right? And so let's move him a little deeper as opposed to having him at corner, and the rest is kind of history, you know. Coach had brought it up a couple times, you know what I'm saying? I know Coach McDonald didn't really want to lose him because he thought he was a high value player for us, and he did some really good things. But I mean, the talent kind of speaks for itself, and I'm praying to God that he has a chance to showcase it this season for you guys, you know, because you know, we had Kirby the year before, we had Kendall last year. Again, I'm gonna speak for myself, but I just watching those dudes, he's just as talented as them, just from a skill set standpoint, right? And he has really good ball skills.
How's Nicario Harper built up this year? Like, how's he progressed as he's been here?
He's done a good job, man. He's done a good job. I think one thing about Nicario, I'm just trying to, he plays so fast and so violent, right? I'm just trying to get him to process information really, really fast, but be quick, but not in a hurry. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I think he gets so amped up sometimes because he's a juice guy, man. Like that dude's what you want on the field, right? He plays 100 miles an hour, you know, and he wants to hit anything moving, you know. And so I love that about him. But you got to get him to slow down in certain elements, in certain situations, and understand what teams are trying to do to him, you know. And he's coming along really well, man. It's a legitimate competitive battle back there in the secondary, and I'm excited as these next couple of practices and scrimmage take place, man, to kind of see how this thing shake out.
How important is it for you guys to figure that out? So many new faces and
it's very important, man. It's extremely important, you know, because all these guys have a skill set, right? They all have a unique skill set, and it's a matter of, right, like who can we put in the best position, and who's going to give us the best opportunity to win. And so the more you watch them, like, right, can you trust them? Are they going to get properly aligned? Are they going to cut out the mental errors or we call them DBOs, don't beat ourselves, right? Are they going to cut out the DBOs? And at the end of the day, right, like, do you have the mental capacity to want to hit somebody, tackle, and just do your job, you know? And I think all of them have that, but it's just sometimes, right, some guys just decide not to do their job and do something else, and that's probably the most frustrating thing as a coach, right? But that's why you coach them, right? That's why you coach them. And so I'm just very pleased by the unit, right? Mac Resettage is also doing extremely well, you know, and so we got some dudes back there, man, that it's gonna be a fight to see who those two guys at free and boundary safety are gonna be, because it's a really good battle right now. So I'm excited about it.
First year as a play caller, do you take a little bit more away from scrimmages and 11-on-11 than some of the other coaches who don't have that responsibility?
I think absolutely. You know, I think sometimes during the scrimmage, right, even during a game, right, you find out what you like to certain pictures, you find out what you don't like, you find out how do guys respond to certain things, right? And so without obviously having a game, you know, you kind of get I'm having an opportunity to see kind of the whole picture a little bit in every position, but it's a tad bit different. At the end of the day, it's football, you know, and so I just want to put guys in the best position to fly around and just have some fun, man. I'm all about having fun. The way we have fun is we play competitive ball, we do our job, and we solve all our problems with aggression.
And what's the key for you as a coach to have those younger guys? And I know there's obviously the hurry of September 2nd, but like can't really kind of force experience. Like, how do you find the middle ground there?
I think part of it is during the course of practice, like putting them in that pressure cooker, right? And so I'm loud when I hit the practice field. I want them to know I'm going to be loud, right? I'm going to try to distract them, right? Because in that stadium when we practice, I can control that environment, right? And so I want them to feel the pressure, right? I always tell my guys, have armadillo skin, right? Have very thick, tough skin. And for the most part, they all handle it really, really well. But I'm trying to put them in an environment that's controlled by me, especially on the back end. And I try to make it really hard for them, right? What's the proper alignment, right? Don't need you doing nobody's job but yours, right? Because once we hit game day, that environment can't be controlled by me, right? You're gonna have 80,000, 90,000, in some cases 100,000 fans yelling and screaming, and they say all kind of stuff, all right? From the field to the sideline. And can you handle your emotions, right? Can you get the call? Can you get lined up? And can you do what we've been asking you to do since you got here? And so I think part of that just comes with repetition, right? the 10,000 rep rule, right? Just constantly just doing your job, right? Every single play, right? And just being routine at it, right? It may get boring sometimes. And that's just life of a football player. And I think the way we make it fun is, we get an opportunity to get an interception, you pick it off, and right, we get in the end zone, right? It's not fun when you're not doing your job, and so just from a defensive standpoint, just trying to put them in the right position, allow them to understand the calls and defense and the why we do things, why do we have this call, what's the weakness to that call, right? And just showing them the whole overall picture, which is going to allow them to, once they understand the overall picture, they can play a lot faster.
Is it fair to suggest that this secondary might, have more depth in the sense of I might be playing guys just to keep them fresh, especially with you got 9 straight weeks without a bye week, and it's just different. You wouldn't have taken Quan or Sidney or Devin off the field last year, but maybe you will this year just because of depth and you need to keep guys fresh.
Right. I mean, I think that's a very, very valid point. I think at the end of the day, right, like the goal is to if guys are right winded and gassed, right, that's why we try to, the biggest thing for us or me coming out of this camp is like, who's going to give us depth, right? Like I'm not too concerned about the starting corner, right, or the starting nickel. I'm concerned about the guy behind him because it happens every year, right? I can remember benching TA, Tony Adams, right, and Taz Nicholson and Kendall Smith had to come in, right? And so I can remember Taz going down last year and Terrell Jennings, right, followed by Tyler Strain had to come in, right? And so I'm teaching all of these dudes, man, like, you may not be a starter right now, but I promise you, by the time this season's over, you're going to be thrown into the fire. And my question to you is, are you going to be ready? Like, will you be ready? From the preparation, from all the snaps, like, will you be ready? And I would like to say that they will, but a lot of these dudes hadn't been in that situation, and it's some of our younger guys. But that's why you're so thankful for those freak shows up front.
First game.